Just let's go back to our main story this hour, that Lord Janner has died. With me is our political correspondent, Chris Mason. So, Chris, take us through what we know.
Yeah, we've just been informed by Lord Janner's family that the 87-year-old has died. Has been in the news frequently over the last year in what's been a long-running discussion, public discussion, about whether or not he was fit to stand trial over allegations relating to child sexual abuse. His lawyers had argued that with advanced and disabling dementia, it wasn't realistic that he should be able to stand trial and appear in person, given that condition. What was due to happen is what's known as a trial of the facts, which was scheduled for next April, where a jury would look at the evidence that was assembled before them, but in the end wouldn't conclude whether or not he was guilty or indeed convict him. Those around Lord Janner, he has always emphasised that he has done absolutely nothing wrong. Will want to see him remembered as a campaigning Labour MP for Leicester for 27 years between 1970 and 1997, a life peer in the House of Lords after that. He was suspended by the Labour Party earlier this year. They will want to see him remembered for his campaigning, for instance, with Jewish organisations who have already paid tribute to him this evening. But he'll be remembered, I suspect, by many, and certainly many of the obituaries that will be written in the next 24 hours will relate to these allegations that he had denied throughout the latter years of his life, and all relating to the extent to which you can go after people in the courts many years after allegations have been made if they the argument can be made that they're not in a fit state to actually stand trial.
You mentioned some tributes coming into him there from the Jewish societies, but who else has been saying anything?
Very little thus far, simply because we only found out from the family in the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour or so. There'll be many who will reflect on his time as a politician and want to say positive things about his work. We'll be very conscious in so doing, particularly if they're invited to talk to us, for instance, publicly, that they'll be doing so when this cloud did hang over him. Something his family found deeply upsetting, because they said that they were convinced that he was convinced that he had done absolutely nothing wrong, and in many senses the protracted legal battle over whether or not he would be fit to stand trial meant there was no likelihood, it now turns out, that he could face his day in court before his death. He did actually make a court appearance in the summer at Westminster Magistrates Court during the whole protracted legal tussle over whether or not he was fit to go ahead to a Crown Court trial. His lawyer had argued at the time that he wasn't even fit to appear at the Magistrates Court, but he did. As I say, given that this trial hasn't happened with him alive, those questions will still remain. What will be interesting, and I don't know the answer to this, is whether that trial of the facts that was due to take place in April without him in attendance could conceivably still go ahead, even though he's no longer alive, given that it wasn't going to establish his guilt, it wasn't going to convict him, and it was going to happen without him taking any part in it. There might be an argument that say it could still go ahead. Whether or not that would be seen to be redundant now he's no longer around, we'll have to see. I don't yet know the answer to that.
Okay, Chris, thank you.